The most significant gap between the wealthy and the average earner has nothing to do with salary or job titles. It is a difference in cognitive framing, how a person perceives the utility of a single dollar. Imagine taking two different people and handing them the exact same $10,000 windfall. The moment the money hits their bank accounts, their brains go to work in opposite directions. One person calculates what they can consume, a vacation or a new car. The other looks at that same pile of cash and calculates how many future dollars those original $10,000 can generate. That split-second difference in thought seems small in the moment, but over a decade, it is the difference between a growing net worth and a mounting pile of consumer debt. Building wealth doesn't start when you hit $1 million in the bank. It happens internally, long before there is any visible external proof of success. Wealth is a sequence of psychological choices. Without changing how you process financial decisions, increasing your income only leads to larger expenses. Most of us are taught a very specific economic formula. You work hard, you earn a paycheck, you spend that money to live, and then you repeat the cycle until you retire. Operating on this default setting means the logical answer to needing more money is increasing labor. You take on overtime, you grind for a promotion, or start a second job. But the math here is unforgiving. You're trading a strictly limited resource for money. You can only sell a single hour of your time once, and you cannot manufacture more of it tomorrow. This chart illustrates the time-to-income ceiling. As you increase hours worked along the bottom, your income rises, but it eventually hits a hard mathematical limit. Once income is tied directly to your personal labor, it is permanently capped by the 24 hours in a day. But a wealthy mindset ignores that formula. Instead of asking how to work more hours, the focus shifts to making money, skills, and time collaborate independently of physical labor. Pushing yourself to work harder guarantees exhaustion, but it doesn't guarantee wealth. Unless you sever the link between your daily time and your daily income, true financial freedom remains out of reach. We can see this in practice by looking at two archetypes, Alex and Daniel. Both of them just received a $5,000 bonus. Alex views the world through the lens of price. When the check clears, his first thought is simply, can I afford a $5,000 item? He trades that cash for a luxury car upgrade, buying the temporary emotional high of feeling successful to the people around him. Daniel views the world through the lens of value. His first question isn't what he can afford, but rather what future return that $5,000 can generate. This flowchart shows what happens when Daniel creates leverage. He uses the money to buy an asset, upgrade a high-income skill, or build a digital product. These loops represent systems that generate value entirely on their own, even while he sleeps. Every dollar spent seeking immediate emotional validation is a dollar permanently destroyed. A dollar spent on leverage is a seed planted for future independence. This animation illustrates the trap of the consumer mindset. In this system, your paycheck is a water drop. If it funnels straight through and disappears into expenses, you remain reliant on the next drop. Earning a promotion doesn't solve the issue if you upgrade your lifestyle. The drain expands and the money vanishes instantly. What you actually need is financial distance. That is the buffer between what you bring in and what you consume, which insulates you from financial stress. Without that buffer, a high salary is just a more expensive, glamorous way of living paycheck to paycheck. To transition away from the consumer trap, start applying a different cognitive framework. Before you make a purchase, ask, is this money creating a temporary feeling or a long-term advantage? Next, apply the 6-month test. If you physically stopped working tomorrow, what assets or systems are currently in place that would continue to support you half a year from now? Finally, ask what you are actively building today. Whether it is an investment portfolio or a professional reputation, direct your resources toward things that compound in value over time. Routinely applying this framework ensures that your income builds leverage. Every dollar becomes a building block for future independence, rather than a resource that disappears at the end of the month. The richest person in the room is rarely the one wearing the most expensive clothes. True wealth belongs to the person who doesn't need to prove their status to anyone else. The ultimate dividend of building this kind of wealth is the power to say no. It gives you the authority to walk away from a bad deal, a toxic boss, or an unfair situation. Wealth provides the power of options. It gives you the option to wait for a better opportunity, the option to choose your own hours, and most importantly, the option to leave. Do not waste your limited time on Earth working just to afford a slightly bigger lifestyle. Build a wealthy mindset so you can afford the freedom to decide what your life is actually for.